Hi everyone, my name's Chris Pescator. In this video, I'm going to discuss the highlights from my latest webinar, The State of Digital Dentistry. The current landscape today, in my opinion, is the digital Wild West. Because we have a new era of scanners, printers, AI, CAD/CAM, and all this stuff so full of promise, but also full of pitfalls. I think we need to first ask ourselves, what does digital dentistry really mean? Do you have to buy all the digital equipment out there? Are you a worse dentist if you don't own this stuff? Must you offer single-visit restorations to serve your patients well? And do you have to become an expert in 3D software? In 2001, 53% of us owned digital scanners. In 2026, it's projected to be 60%. But just know that your lab is 100% digital, and a lot have been for a while. So before you buy a printer or a mill, really you have to understand it is purely and simply a numbers game. So you have to ask yourself 4 questions. What exactly will you use it for? Do you have the constant volume to support it? Do you understand the true long-term costs? And who on your team is actually going to do it? These 4 questions are so important to iron out before you even start looking at this equipment. And I do have some food for thought because I've had an in-office CAD/CAM system for well over 21 years. So I've used it, I've been around, and I have a thought. Will we become a profession of good enough? You know, when I was in dental school in the 80s, and yes, that makes me very old, I remember back then one of the things we were taught that would kind of guide our mentality on how we perform dentistry, and that was to place it like it would last forever. That mentality simply means do your best. Now, I know some people are probably rolling their eyes or maybe even laughing after I just said that, but think about it. If you have a mindset of, say, doing a crown on this person, on your patient, and your mindset is, I want this thing to last forever, you're going to do the best job you possibly can. Versus, oh, I just need to have it last 5 to 8 years. I mean, I can make it temporary that lasts 5 to 8 years very easily. So it's a mindset. Are we good enough? And since the digital equipment has entered the space where dentists can now buy them and bring them in their offices, especially printers, I hear the term good enough thrown around quite a bit. And that's not good. That's not good for us. That's not good for our patients. And AI. Now listen, I love AI. I think AI is great. But AI can make us very lazy. And I think less capable. AI is an enhancement tool. It is not a replacement tool. I always liken AI to running. But remember, before you run, you have to learn to walk. So if I had $20,000, would I go out and buy some shiny equipment? Or would I invest it in education? And my answer, 10 out of 10 times, is education. My 36 plus year journey from analog to digital has been quite interesting. Back in 1990, I placed my first ceramic veneers. They were feldspathic veneers. And that opened my eyes to a whole new way to do dentistry than what I was taught in dental school. Because what I was taught in dental school was full coverage. Very little teachings about inlays and onlays, mostly full coverage. So I was going to commit myself to learning as much as I can about non-metal, adhesively placed conservative restorations. In the mid-90s, indirect resins became the rage. I know a lot of people think indirect resins are a big thing now. We were doing them in the mid-90s. You remember the names Concept, Belglass, Targus Vectris. There were tons of them out there. And a lot of them were great. I actually have some Belglass still in my mouth to this day. But when the stronger ceramics came out, most of us abandoned resin for the stronger ceramics because now we could do onlays that would last and full coverage non-metal crowns that would last. In the late 90s, I also started to learn 3D. Why? Because when I started presenting and giving lectures, and I was using mostly PowerPoint. Well, that was after we used slide carousels for many years. I went to PowerPoint like everyone else, and then Keynote. And I really got bored with 2D presentations and giving a 2D presentation. So I started to learn 3D to enhance my presentations. But I was always wondering, how could I bring it into dentistry? And then around 2005, I got my first in-office CAD/CAM system. And that's when I started to think, how can I marry my love of 3D and my dental work together? So today, I use my own custom tooth library. I do chairside previews, which you will see later on in this video, and I do in-office model printing only. So what is my workflow? I call it simple, profitable, and fun, using an iPad and a desktop or laptop. So for 2D imaging, I use free software called Affinity Photo. Affinity Photo did cost before they were acquired by Canva, but now they are free. And Affinity Photo is amazing. It is just like Photoshop with less of a learning curve. As far as the apps I use an app on my iPad called Nomad Sculpt, and it's a $20 app. And on the desktop, I believe it's $35. On my laptop, I use Blender. It's a free 3D professional program and an add-on I created for it called Digital Dental Sculptor, or DDS. As far as models, that's the only thing I print. Nothing I print goes in the mouth, and therefore I can use a very inexpensive, high-quality printers out there that cost hundreds as opposed to thousands and don't have any maintenance contracts or anything like that. Not to mention the bottles of resin are a fraction of the cost. And AI is a very useful tool. And some of these smile simulations I see, they are so cool. But you know what will always be cool? Relationships. We don't talk about this stuff enough. We always talk about buying a shiny new object and that'll make you more successful. Buy this, buy that. That will make you more successful. What makes you more successful is how your patients feel about you, and that's the relationship you have with your patients. No one's going to spend money in your office if they don't like you and trust you. So my advice is spend more time building relationships with patients and don't worry about the shiny objects unless you truly need them. I remember once I heard this quote by Geddy Lee, and he said, "Do what you believe, because if you do what someone else believes and you fail, you have nothing. If you do what you believe and fail, you still have hope." Why do you have hope? Why? Because you had the idea to begin with. So if your idea doesn't pan out, you still have that idea that you can change, revise, and try again. But if you're doing what someone else tells you, you don't know where to go from there. I love this quote, and I think more people should adopt it. So these are my gifts to you. You'll see links in the description below. This is a 10-page PDF document I created. It's called In-Office Digital Dentistry, The Real Cost. And in it, you will see detailed explanations of the costs of everything and usage of everything. Everything I could possibly imagine I put into this document. So I hope you read it thoroughly, and really I hope it sheds some light into what is really out there and the costs. But how would you compare your cost? How would you know if it's worth it for you? Well, that's why I also created this practice affordability worksheet. It is both for in-office CAD/CAM and resin printers. And if you fill it in accurately, do some research, get your numbers, know your numbers, and if you put everything in, it will tell you financially whether it's feasible or not. I worked really hard on this to make it as accurate as possible. So I hope you enjoy using it and it sheds some light for you. Thank you for watching. There is more to come. Specifically, you will see my digital workflow in my office, whether I'm using my laptop or I'm using my iPad. This is how I present cases to patients. I don't do anything super fancy. I scan their models, bring them in, and I put my tooth library on them, and this is what they see. So look for the future videos, and also remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss any more videos on these topics. Thanks again for watching, and I appreciate your time. Take care, and I'll see you soon.